And I'd like to thank Erwin and staff for hosting tonight's candidate filing information workshop. Although this is hosted by the city of Watsonville, it is open to anyone who is looking to run for office. So just out of curiosity, is anyone here looking to run for either school board, fire district, water district, park district? Okay, great. Then I can focus it solely to city. A couple of days ago, I had to do a little of both. So, all right.
I want to introduce myself as well. Erwin Ortiz, City Clerk for City of Watsonville. If you do end up pulling papers here for the city, you'll be working with me here in this office. So in the administrative office, this is my office. So if you're interested in learning more after this session, you can reach out to me. I have business cards here that I can distribute after. But also, if you're going to pull papers, you're going to be working with me. So I'm happy to see everybody here. We are doing this virtually as well. So there are other members of the public joining us virtually. This training will be recorded, so if you ever want to reference it again, I will be posting it on our new elections page shortly. Thank you, Tricia.
I did also, because I had changed this at 3:58 p.m. I did photocopy it, so you can take notes. We'll also put this up on our website, the PowerPoint, on Tuesday of next week. So what we're going to go through this evening is just kind of an overview of the whole process, the election itself. We're going to drill in on what the candidate filing documents are, what needs to be on them. If you are looking to do a campaign with a campaign committee, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other necessary forms from the FPPC, the Fair Political Practice Commission. And we're going to give you some resources that you can look to if you have questions. During the time, even though it says question and answers at the end, the reality is I want you to stop me if you have a question right then. Sometimes I might say, hold that, because we're going to get to it, but I feel it's better for me to answer it as it gets into your brain, rather than wait down the line when the question might have escaped your brain or morphed into something different. So on the ballot in November, there will be several different types of offices. There's going to be the partisan office, such as, president. There will be the voter nominated offices like state assembly, state senate, Congress. Those are going to be 2 names only because it's the runoff of and it was the top 2 people from the March primary. We had 2 county supervisor seats that did not have an outright winner at the primary. So if you're in the 2nd district and the 5th district, which you wouldn't be necessarily, though you could be, right? We do have part of the city of Watsonville and in the 2nd district. That might be on your ballot. The 3 of our 4 cities will be on the ballot. Santa Cruz, they kind of took off from the general election and moved themselves to the primary. Completely mind-boggling thing for me. Maybe in about another 4 years, I'll have my brain wrapped around that. And then all of our school districts and special districts, such as water, fire, rec, my cemetery, we don't have, the cemetery district doesn't go to ballot on, doesn't get elected. It's appointed. Sanitation, but they're in the odd year.
Good to know.
No, you're like, done, I'm out of here. Yeah, no. So filing specifically for city council, you're going to need to do everything with Erwin and his team. I'm here to help provide support, but you actually do nothing with me unless you want voter data. But that doesn't mean you can't come visit me, because I'd love to see you. So he would love for you to make an appointment to come pull your papers for nomination and then file the rest of your documents, but he'll let you walk in because he's a nice guy. So the first time you come in and see him, he's going to give you your nomination papers after it's verified that you live in the district that you're planning to run for. You will fill out your nomination, go get your nomination signatures, and you're gonna return them to him. And once he verifies that you have 20 good signatures from registered voters in your district, then you will be able to file your declaration of candidacy with him and the rest of the document, and you will become a candidate. So here's the key times of this election. So between July 15th and August 9th is when you're gonna go get your nomination papers. Then you're gonna turn them back in and do your declaration of candidacy. If an eligible incumbent does not file, then we will extend the contest for 5 more days. So till August 15th. Yes, it is. Thank you. 9 plus 5 is not 5, it's 4.
Random question. If an eligible incumbent does not file and then the extension happens, can that eligible incumbent file during
Nope.
the extension?
The extension is only for everyone other than the incumbent. The incumbent blew their chances by not coming in by the 9th at 5 p.m. On August 15th, because I really like days that end, or calendar dates that end in 5 apparently, is when we're going to conduct the random alpha. Now, election officials do very different things than most people. One of them is we don't use the alphabet that goes from A to Z. So why don't we do that? Because then everybody whose last name starts with A would always be number 1 on the list of candidates, and everybody whose last name started with Z would be at the end. And then poor B through Y in the middle, you know, who knows what's going to happen. So every election, we do a random alphabet. And that gives everybody just the equal opportunity to be the first name listed or the last name listed. Those tend to be the 2 coveted spots, so to speak. And we use that alphabet throughout everything, and it's by your last name. So if your last name was Brown and another candidate's last name was Brodsky, B-R-O-D, B-R-O exactly, well, B-R-O-W exactly the same. So it would be wherever the W is or the D is determining between that. So we use that random alpha throughout the entire name. And we run one, and the state of California runs one through the Secretary of State. We post both of them on our website, and we say which contests use which alphabet. You'll see that shortly after we determine the order of people on the ballot, we are actually ready to start sending out our ballots. Our military and overseas voters get their ballots in 60 days, which for this election is September 6th. They get a little bit longer of a period of time so they can get theirs back to us through foreign mail or jumping through the federal process of a fax ballot. October 7th is when we're going to send out the ballots to everybody domestically. Even though we mail ballots to all active registered voters, we still offer in-person voting opportunities that will actually start at 2 locations, oh, maybe 3 locations in November. I keep forgetting I have a new building.
That's right.
I do, but Erwin still wants to issue ballots. I know he does. We start that on October 7th. On October 26th, we open up 3 more locations. November 2nd, we open up 13 more locations. And on election day, we do 4 more pop-ups. So at the end of the day, on election day, we will have 22 in-person voting locations for people to go to. And anyone can go to any one of these in-person voting locations across the county because we're all connected. We all have, each of them have all of the ballot styles across the county. So even though you're running, you know, you live down here in Watsonville, if you happen to be in Boulder Creek for a reason, and that's when you wanted to vote, you could walk into the place at Boulder Creek and they'd be able to hand you your Watsonville ballot. Another thing I wanted to go over really quickly is incompatibility of office. This is determined actually by the Attorney General. What you see up here are some examples of what the Attorney General has determined is an incompatible office. Basically, you're looking at if you are on an elected board of, say, a school, and you wanted to run for for city council, but the school district is within the city, it would be considered a conflict, incompatible, because the city is making decisions regarding the school district. So you're kind of voting for your own self, right? So that would be incompatible. I put this up here because you may be in an elected office right now, and you want to run for something else. You need to look at the jurisdiction of what you're currently sitting on and what you're looking to run for. And if you think that there is a common jurisdiction and it's not one of these things that we have put up here for you, you're gonna need to call the Attorney General. You ask Erwin, he's gonna say call the Attorney General. You ask me, I'm gonna tell you to call the Attorney General. Okay, we can't make that decision. Only they make those advices. So I put that there so it's in your brain, percolating around in case that that applies to you. All right, let's talk about the specific candidate filing documents. The ones in blue are the ones that you have to file. I know your black and white copy doesn't look blue, but the top row, those are what you have to file. And the bottom two, the orange ones, are optionals. We're going to go through and talk about each one. The nomination petition, which City Council requires, is a document that you fill out that says, hi, I, Trisha Weber at 701 Ocean Street, plan to run for this office. I come into Erwin, he checks my address, he makes sure that I am registered to vote there, that that address is indeed in that city council district, and then he issues me a nomination paper. I take my nomination paper out and I go to my friends, my neighbors that live in my district, and I say, can you please find my nomination papers? I want to run for city council. And your friends and neighbors have to write their name, write their address, and sign their name. They have to do it. You can't help them. Their kids can't help them. Their spouses can't help them. They have to do it personally. You gather all these names and signatures and addresses. And after you've gotten, well, I will tell you to go get 30 signatures because there will be some that are not good. Oh, sorry. Huh?
Like those speeches.
Yeah, I had to pick one that nobody else in the office had. Because every time I picked a ringtone, somebody else would pick that ringtone and I'd go racing across the office and it would not be my phone. So I knew no one would choose that. You're gonna bring them back and you're gonna turn them back into Erwin. And he's gonna go ahead and actually send them to me and I'm gonna check them. And I'm checking to make sure that that person is living at that address when they sign that document and that their signature compares. And then I'm going to tell him how many of those signatures that you turned in are good. And then he's going to let you know what happened. If you have 20 good ones, he's going to say you met your nomination requirement. Come on back and let's do the rest of it. Or he's going to say you didn't meet it. You were this many short. And then you need to go out and gather more signatures. Now, even though you've got this window of time to do it, right? From July 15th to August 9th, please, 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 please do not wait until 4:55 p.m. on August 9th to turn in your nomination signatures. We had that problem once where they were short signatures, but because it was turned in so late and the time it took us to do the signatures, 5 o'clock came and 5 o'clock went. They had no opportunity to go out and get more signatures, so they didn't qualify. So please do this early. Get those signatures, nomination signatures done and turned in and find out your disposition. And then go from there, okay? Once it's been determined that your nomination requirement has been met, you will then return to do your declaration of candidacy. That is the official thing that says, I am running. And on the declaration, this is mine, yours is gonna look a little different, but it's gonna say, I'm running for Watsonville City Council. My name is, and the name's gonna be on there. And I want my name to read on the ballot a specific way, and I want a ballot designation. So let's talk about your name. I am registered to vote as Trisha Irene Langer Weber. I don't, people are like, you have a middle name, right? Most people don't know that. I'm just Trisha Weber. So I don't have to use my full legal name as I am registered. I can just choose to run as Trisha Weber. Let's just say my name was Patricia Weber, but let's say it was. Trisha is a common nickname from the name Patricia. So if I went in and said, yeah, I'm registered as Patricia, but I want to use Trisha because that's how everyone knows me, not a problem. Your name on the ballot can be a nickname that makes sense. But let's just say I was known as Slim out in the world. And I said, no, I want my name to be on the ballot as Slim. And everyone's gonna go, yeah, that's not gonna work. We're gonna, I could do Trisha Slim Weber and have it in quotes so people knew who it was. So if you have a nickname that you are known as, and it's not a natural derivative of your name that you are registered, you're gonna have to put it in parentheses or quotes, assuming it is appropriate. If you are known as Badass, I am not gonna put that on the ballot because I can't put ass on the ballot, even though I will fight and tell everyone and say that that's actually a donkey, right? But, so that's your name, okay? Questions on your name? Okay. So that's the first one. The second thing you're gonna have to put on your ballot designation is your ballot, on your declaration of candidacy is your ballot designation. Those are the words that appear underneath your name on the ballot. And it is words that describe your principal vocation, occupation, or profession. So in my former life, I was a teacher. I could say, Trisha Weber, my ballot designation is teacher. I could say high school teacher. I could say college teacher, if that's what I was. And then on a worksheet, I'm gonna say, I can use this designation teacher because I work at Harbor High School. I teach, special education. I've taught there for the last 25 years. Here's the name of my principal and their phone number that you can call to verify that information. Okay, so, maybe I want my ballot designation to be teacher/parent. Parent's a vocation, right? It's my principal one. I could say I can use the word parent because I have a 20-year-old daughter. Here's her number and her name and number. If she likes me that day, she's gonna maybe verify it. I could put down the other, the name of my husband and he can verify it, okay? But it's only 3 words. 3 words is 3 words until it's not, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you were to come to me and say, or to Erwin and say, I want my ballot designation to be real estate broker / parent / I gotta come up with another one, consultant. I'm gonna, he's gonna go, no, real estate broker, 3 words. So you got to cut something else there, right? So on your ballot designation worksheet, you're going to list what you really, 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 really want. Then you're going to list 2 options. You're going to give your justification for what you really want and your 2 options, and you're going to turn it in. On your declaration of candidacy, we're gonna put down what you really, really want. Then what happens is I get all the documents and I have to run it through this big, long, 8 pages, 6-point font, 2-sided list of regulations and codes, and I'm gonna look through it, and I'm gonna make sure that what you really want can be used. And if it can't, then I'm gonna look at your first alternate. And if it can't be used, I'm gonna look at your second alternate, and then I'm gonna let everyone know. I ended up taking alternate number 2, and this is why I did it. Or I took alternate number 1, and this is why I did it. And then we're gonna let you know that we had to take an alternate, and this is why. On the rare chance that I don't like all 3 of them, then we're gonna contact you and we're gonna give you 5 days to come up with something new that will hopefully work. Okay? Questions on that?
What if the candidate doesn't agree with your choice of second alternate, and first one is fair? Is there any recourse on that?
Well, I'm gonna state the reasons why I can't use it, going back to the codes and the regulations. And anytime that I don't like, I go against a ballot designation, or I say we can't use it, I've already run it by council to make sure that I'm not interpreting a regulation or a code differently than I should be. Okay. All right. So any questions on how your name reads or what your ballot designation is and what makes it good or bad? I'm gonna tell you right now, if you are planning to use the word commissioner, such as you are a planning commissioner or you are an arts commissioner, sorry, that was like a pause, right? You're like, oh, you brought us right to the cliff and then you walk away. Commissioner cannot be used because commissioners are not a principal vocation, occupation, or profession. So the only time I've ever used the word commissioner is somebody worked for CIF or whatever it used to be CIF. I don't know what they call it now. And their actual position with that agency was a sports commissioner, where they put together things. And because that was the name of their position, that's what they did. That's how they were paid. It was a regular job. They didn't, we took it. But a planning commissioner, arts commissioner, I can't take those.
But community activists and things like that.
So we'll start first with community volunteer. If you do not have a job, you're retired, you can use retired whatever you were. If you volunteer out in the community, you can't say I am a school volunteer. You are a community volunteer. Activist is starting to be, used to be a bad no-no.
Yeah.
Can't use it. Secretary of State's legal team has been a little more generous on that. And I actually take it to Secretary of State to see if they've used that activist with whatever other word is in front of it, because there's always a qualifier in front of it, to see if they've used it in the past. Okay. At the time you do your declaration of candidacy is when you would file your candidate statement of qualifications. This is an optional thing to do. The candidate statement is the 200 words that talks about you and why you should be elected to the position, that is posted online and goes out in a voter information guide. Because this is optional, you must pay for it. And it's paying for the cost of the statement to be put out there. There's no filing fee for your office. So there's nothing else that you would be paying other than your statement. Your statement has to be filed at the time you do your declaration of candidacy. However, it can be withdrawn if you choose not to have it go through after you file. Can't withdraw your candidacy, but you can withdraw your statement. So how much does that cost? Well, we give you an estimate. Our estimate is $320 because that's what it costs staff-wise for us to get the statement done, go through all the proofing, get it laid out, go through all that proofing, get it put into the books online, go through all the proofing there. And then it's 3 cents per registered voter in your district for printing and mailing. Or it's just a flat 320 if you choose to only do it online. That's a way to help make the cost a little bit better for you. You can, we will do it in English. We are an English only county, so our candidate statements are done in English in our books. If you choose to do Spanish, you can. It's again, also optional. And that would be an additional fee of $150. So basically your statement could either be printed and put online in English, printed and put online in English and Spanish, put online only in English, or put online only in English and Spanish. Those are your 4 choices. Well, I guess your 5th choice is, I don't want to do a statement. See, this is wrong. Where's the one with the little dollar sign? Okay, I don't know. Anyway, so how much is that going to cost? I'll give you a rough idea. I'll give you an idea of what our thing is. So, City Council District number 1, $394 printed and online in English, $320 online only. Add $150 if you want it in Spanish. District 2, $393 for printed and online. District 6, $428 printed and online. District 6 has more registered voters. That's why it's a little more. Okay. District 7 is not on here.
I know.
So, what is in your candidate statement? It's all about you. Why you are running for office, what qualifications you have to be in office, what can you bring to the table or the dais in this respect that would make you the best person to be elected to the position. You want to make sure it, like I said, it's all about you. However, because city council is a nonpartisan office, you cannot reference what your political party affiliation is, nor can you reference any affiliation you would have with an organization that is political in nature. So if you are part of, we'll say, the Green Party the Green Party Council, you can't say I'm a member of the Green Party Council. Okay. You also cannot reference any other candidates or the current incumbent in your statement. So, you want to, again, make it about you. I believe in this. I can do this. I can bring this. I am qualified because of this. Okay. Once you file your statement, it cannot be changed. Filed document is the filed document. Okay. And again, it must file it at the time you declare your candidacy. You can't declare your candidacy on Monday and then decide 3 days later you want to do a candidate statement. Got to be done at the same time. We want you to type your statement when you turn it in and make sure you proof it, proof it, proof it, proof it, proof it, then proof it again, then hand it to your friend and have them proof it. Because we know our own words, right? We know how that sentence is supposed to read. So we read over the word that is missing. Or we read instead of, we go a union, and we automatically in our brain go "and," right? Because we know that "and" is there, because we know it's there, but it's not. So make sure you have somebody else do it. Read it backwards, because I am going to print it the way you turn it in. So if there's a misspelling, there's missing punctuation, capitalization is wrong, any of that, I'm printing it. Okay? It kills me when we see things that are spelled wrong. And it's like, I want to fix it, but we can't, okay?
And question, so, and if there's any argument on it, it's that paper that the candidate turns in, that's the end
Mhm.
discussion.
Yeah.
It's on that paper, that is it.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
This isn't the, did I have two of them on there?
Yeah.
I did, okay. With today's date? Talk amongst yourselves.
And this two is how much?
No, I think it's 390.
394 or more.
Just as long.
Be my guest.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is we were just, so there's gonna be, two postal trains, two postal.
Oh.
So I don't know what that's gonna do, because I haven't had to invoice people for years and years and years and years, because we have it so dialed
Then
in.
you'll send out an additional invoice.
Yeah, and it's like,
Okay.
then here we are, like a month and a half later, I'm like, I need another. You know, so we worked really hard to dial it in.
Yeah.
To get it to that 3 cents of, you know, to get it there. Maybe for my boss. Thanks.
You're welcome. Charlie Brown, right?
Yeah, because the picture of it is out. We'll go out.
Look, where it is. Sure.
Here, okay. Thank you for bearing with us while we made that little change. So formatting, we do block text with flush left. We don't indent. So if you give me your statement with an indentation, I'm going to take the indent out because we flush everything left in our guides. We print them in 9-point font. The name of the font we use is Clearview ADA. We will put your, you will have a header line on top of your statement, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like in a few moments. We're gonna use the same name that you have on the ballot. We're not gonna be able to change your name from the ballot to the book. We do not allow bolding, capitalization, underlining, bulleting, or centering. We do allow some italics. This is kind of a nice to have. It'd be really nice if you limited your statement to 3 paragraphs, because that fits really nicely on the page and it makes it very easy to read. However, I have allowed more. Howdy. But what I don't allow, because I have had this happen to me, is I have had somebody that each paragraph was a sentence because they couldn't bullet. They wanted all these bullets, and all of a sudden I had 20 paragraphs. And I went, no, not doing that. Turn this into something smaller. So, you know, most of them I would say now are probably more 4 to 5 paragraphs in length. But I really like 3. Underneath your name, we're going to give you a freebie line, which will list your occupation, which usually matches identical to your ballot designation. But you can also place a phone number, an email, a website. You can put your age on there. Some people like to put their age on to let people know how old they are. And that phone number, that email, that website are ways for voters to get in touch with you. You are going to submit your candidate statement in 2 ways. One, you're going to send an electronic copy to Erwin. Then you're going to bring in a hard copy that we're going to count your words on, and you're going to sign to say that this is the official thing. And if your electronic copy is different than your printed copy, we're still going by your printed copy because that's the filed document that you do. You're also going to give a check made out to the county clerk when you put that in. And as I said, your statement can be withdrawn. And so we do not cash the checks until after the withdrawal date. And the withdrawal date will either be August 12th or August 15th, depending on whether or not the contest extends. So don't come in on July 15th and hand over the check and expect on July 16th for it to hit the bank. We will not do it until after the whole period has ended. Okay? You can pay for your statement in cash only if you are using your own personal funds to pay for your statement and you're not using any funds coming from a campaign committee. Okay, so that's the only way we could use cash. Okay, so here is an example of a candidate statement. This is when I always laugh because I'm so short. So yeah, no. So here you see Chris candidate's name is there. That's how Chris's name reads on the ballot. And then this is the freebie line that I was talking about. So Chris's ballot designation is teacher, wanted a phone number, an email address, a website, and wanted to say how old they were. Okay. That's everything. See how nicely that fits? Sometimes if you may want all of that on there, but your email address is really, really, really long. I might not be able to fit things on there when I'm laying it out. So I will contact you and say, hey, I can't put it all on there. What do we want to get rid of? I also tell you about your freebie line because your candidate statement is 200 words. And a lot of people, a lot of candidates want to put into their statement, contact me at, check out my website, do this. And then they get over their 200 words and they need to start cutting. Remember, your freebie line is there. With that information, it's not going against your 200 words. So if you need to take advantage of the information there so you can put some other words, different words into your statement, please keep that in mind. Okay? So just like we don't use a real alphabet, A to Z, we also don't count words like normal people. Sometimes words count as one word and sometimes words count as not one word. So,
Quick question, so, on the sample, teacher, phone number, info@votechris.com.
that's his email address. So what do we not count when we're counting words? We don't count punctuation. So we don't count periods, question marks, parentheses, quotations, none of that. We don't count that freebie line. And we don't count proper nouns as multiple words. So here, here it says Pajaro Valley Unified School District. That's 5 words. We count that as 1 because it's a proper name. Okay. So then I had this one candidate come in and he brought me a 700-word document, that's what he wanted. And he capitalized every 4th word. He's like, those are all proper nouns. I'm like, no, they're not. Oh yeah, these are proper nouns. No, just because you capitalize them doesn't make them into proper nouns. Right? So what happens is multiple people in my office, it's always 2 people count candidate statements, and we then compare the number we get. Most of the time we are correct. We get the exact same numbers, but there are a few times where we will count things a little bit different. And it usually comes down to proper nouns is where we vary. We have to look up every proper noun. We also look up hyphenated words, because hyphenated words, if they're really supposed to be hyphenated, count as 1 word. We look all those up in dictionaries. And if we have 5 different dictionaries that we typically use. If 2 of the 5 say that it's a single word, or it's a proper noun, or it's this, then we count it as 1 word. So it's just a matter of which go-to dictionaries do we go to first. But then that's when we discuss it, we look it up, and we do more in order to make sure that we come up with the correct number. So proper nouns, geographic names, hyphenated words that are hyphenated in, you typically see them hyphenated. Abbreviations are 1 word. The date is always 1 word, doesn't matter how you write it. So January 1st, comma, 1980 and 1/1/1980, both of those are 1 word. Phone numbers are 1 word, websites are 1 word. Numbers written as digits are 1 word. Numbers spelled out, multiple words. Okay. Got it? Cool. None of you are in a multiple district or county that are running for something that encompasses 2 districts. So forget the first one. Let's talk about the bottom one. You can actually designate somebody to come in and file your documents for you. I do not recommend it. The candidate statement is the reason why I don't recommend it. Because when you come in, we're going to count the words right in front of you. And if it's 201 words, then whoever's coming in to file on your behalf has now been designated to remove the 1 word that is over. I don't trust anybody to do that for me. That's my statement. I want to make those decisions. So I recommend that you do all your filing on in person, you yourself, in order to do that. The other thing I want to talk about on candidate statements, other than reminding you that you need to prove it, is that you can send your candidate statement draft in early to have the words counted. I'm happy to do that too. You can send it to me. I know Erwin will do that too. So then you're not standing at the counter going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I'm at 225 words. So if you've got a draft that you want the words counted to see how you're doing, send it in, let us count them for you ahead of time to let you know. So then you either need to delete or you add or you're right on track. Okay. And you don't have to do 200 words. If you're happy with your statement and it has 150 words, cool, no big deal. If you looked in your state guide, I think there were several people running for Senate that their statements were 3 words. One of them was 1, it's just a website. So however many words you need to take to talk about yourself, great, just can't be more than 200. Questions about the candidate statement? All right. You will need to file a Form 700, which is an FPPC form. as a candidate. The Form 700 is your conflict of interest form, and it's a conflict of your economic interest form. And you are stating on this form any salary or assets or income that you would get from within your district that could be considered a conflict when you are voting on something, when you are sitting on the council. Most of the time we have you file your candidate 700 as a piece of paper and not electronically. However, if you are a current filer within the city of Watsonville, then they can go ahead and trigger for you an electronic statement for being in candidacy. If you were to come see me, I'm going to make you fill out a paper form. It's not because I don't like you. It's just because for us, it's easier to deal with the paper and then convert it to electronic rather than go through setting up the electronics. This is a public document because it's providing transparency and accountability for you, the candidate, to the voters on what economically you may benefit from within decisions that you make. Okay. We're good? Good, because I can't answer most questions on that. Usually what will happen, and I do it because I really can't answer most questions on that. Usually it's like, you need to contact the FPPC because they're the body that does that. They're the ones that do the regulations. They're the ones that know all the little nuances of the ins and outs. I just get the form and I put it in your folder. I don't answer questions. I mean, for example, I live with Form 700s. I have so many of them. But when it came time for me to fill my own Form 700 out, I was on the phone with the FPPC. Well, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? You know, because I didn't know. And so, yes, they're the best people to ask. So we've talked about nominations. We've talked about the declaration. We've talked about the ballot designation worksheet. We've talked about the Form 700. We've talked about the candidate statement. You sign an agreement when you turn it in. That's why it says agreement. The other two things that you're going to need to are, one, you have to file an internet waiver. That is saying these are so kind of the way it works is the first thing we do during candidate filing during the period that it's open is we do a candidate watch. These are all the contests that are up for ballot, and here's who's come in and done something. Then at the end of the filing period, I make a decision on which contests are going to ballot and which contests are extending and which contests are appointed in the election. I'll tell you right now, city council will go to ballot, even if only one person files. They're running unopposed because there's a measure, so I have to put it on there. Okay. Then at that point, after the ballot has been set, we move to contact candidate. And that is where this internet waiver comes into play. Because you are saying, hey, Trisha, because it's mine. You guys, do you have your own internet waiver? So they're actually, it's kind of two. This is what you can put up. You can put up a website, you can put up a phone number, you can put up an address as a way for voters to contact me to get more information. So beyond your statement, beyond anything else, this is a direct contact, between you and the voters. The waiver is what gives us permission to put that information on the internet. It can be changed at any time. You can add, you can take away, anytime during the election time. Okay. The other one is an optional, orange equals optional. It's the Code of Fair Campaign Practices. And I chuckle because it's optional. It's saying you're going to be a good candidate. Well, of course you're going to be a good candidate because you're all good people. You're not going to do anything wrong, but it's an optional form that you're going to sign to say that you're a good candidate. I think it's just absolutely silly. But anyway, That may be one more form that you choose to fill out at the time that you, are filing. All right. That's all of the documents you have to file in order to become a candidate. Good? We're good? We have a question.
In your experience,
Mhm.
you ever dealt with a jurisdictional area where, despite all the efforts, nobody ran as a candidate?
Yes,
So in that case, then the seat just sits empty.
no. It goes back to the governing board. They have between the end of candidate filing and the election date in order to, appoint somebody or convince somebody to take that seat. If we go past the election date and that seat, then nobody has gone to, to run for that seat or be appointed to that seat, then it triggers vacancy requirements and then it triggers special elections. So mostly jurisdictions are not going to want a special election when they've just paid for another election. We usually get that seat filled rather quickly if nobody files a candidate. And we work really hard with that jurisdiction so they understand.
I've heard in newspaper articles in the San Joaquin Valley, there were jurisdictions that could not get anybody to take a seat. But I guess the process is that one way or another, somebody will get put there.
That is correct. And then, just so you know, the government code states that the person that is currently the office holder, even though their term expires, does not leave the board until the new person is put in.
So I'm curious about that, because you brought it up, and our being a charter city, and we have a charter amendment that came up about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. For vacancies.
Mhm.
Now you stopped talking about triggering, but that was one of the biggest parts of that. Does the code that you're talking about overrule?
No. No, a charter city will overrule will overrule, when I say mine,
So
the election code.
Something in the city of Watson that would trigger another election.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then we just have special elections until we get some.
That's hopefully never happening.
Yeah.
You're not sure that's what would happen?
We would definitely, conduct a special election if no one runs for that election. As soon as that vacancy occurs, which is what the time is.
In a strange situation where no other candidates run for that special election, you would then roll over to do another special election again?
Well, hopefully we never have to go through that.
But in theory,
So you're gonna hear my biggest cop-out statement you are ever gonna hear, and we would then consult counsel. So if it triggered a special election and nobody ran in the special election, then the county council would be working with the city council, not the SELs, not the CILs. We would be working together to find out what the legal remedy is about the problem. And I'm hoping that I will never, ever, ever see that in my 10-year.
So the person that's sitting on the seat right now, like say District 4, she's bringing up, she has to stay on or stay on.
Until such.
Until a new one is seated, that's what it says.
well, actually, bear with me. They would nominally be staying on, but they may move out of the area and.
Well, then, yeah, you're killing me here.
Welcome to Watsonville.
If you're Watsonville,
You know that this is gonna keep me up all flippin' night long. So I'm getting your cell phone number before I leave, so I can text you every 25 seconds going, I just thought about this. Well, what do you think about this? Huh, I'm wondering about this.
Ever to ask that question. Because he will give you 20 other things to think about. But no, sorry I brought it up, but it just occurred to me and then the brain started going. That was interesting.
Yeah, well, I'll pose that question to my council.
There you go.
All right, let's talk about campaigning and resources. And here's where I'm gonna tell you, I fibbed. You do have an extra form that we haven't talked about that you need to fill out. And that's the 501. Form 501. And it is called an intent to run. And this is, the reason I separated away from some of the other documents is because I don't want you to think that if you file this form, you are finished. All of the forms we just talked about, you have to do in order to become a candidate. This form, you can, is your magic ticket to spend and raise, or to raise and spend money. And you can fill that out now. I got it right here. You can fill it out tonight if you haven't already done so. You could have filled it out 6 months ago. You come and file, we're gonna make you fill it out because we know you're most likely gonna raise or spend money. You take your nomination papers home and you make a photocopy of them, you've spent money. You don't have a 501, you're not in compliance. So it's a penny even of your own money. You can't spend it without having a 501 on file. So, and if you file the 501, say you file it right now, then you go home and you're thinking and you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't the time for me to do this. Just because you filed it doesn't lock you in to be doing all of the rest of it. But you want to raise or spend money, even your own, better fill out your 501. Okay. You can raise and spend up to $2,000 before you have to create a committee. You can create a committee before you raise or spend $2,000, but the minute you hit that $2,000 mark, you must create a committee. You do that through a Form 410, and you send that to the Secretary of State's office. You don't give it to me, you don't give it to Erwin, you send it to them because they're going to review it and then they're going to create a campaign number for you or an FPPC number. You hear both things. And that magic number is what you put on your signs. You put them on your mass mailers that this was done by this committee. Your committee must have your last name in it, must have the office that you were running for, and must have the year of the election. So my campaign committee was called Tricia Weber for Santa Cruz County Clerk 2022. Okay. One thing I want to tell you about the Form 410 and the Political Reform Division of the Secretary of State's office is they are extremely anal on your documents. So when they say complete address, they mean the complete address, including the avenue, the drive, the street, the boulevard, whatever is after the name of your street name. And they want it every single time. I put my address on the form. I think I ended up having to put it on there 6 or 7 times. And on one of them, I forgot avenue. Rejected. The head of Political Reform Division for the Secretary of State is one of my personal friends. Oh, did they get an earful? But it was rejected and I had to refile it. So again, prove your document before you turn it in to make sure you have all the information on there. You will sign it on that committee as the principal or the candidate, but you need to find a treasurer. Do not be your own treasurer. Not a good idea. Your head is in campaigning to win your election. It is not, oh my gosh, it's September 24th. Is my second pre-election turned in? That's not what it is. Let your treasurer take care of that problem for you. But I recommend that you be your assistant treasurer. And the only reason I say that is because then just in case your treasurer is in Switzerland and they have no internet connection, you are able to file the form for them to meet the deadline. And here I am lying some more. No, you do have other campaign forms that you may have to do. So if you create a committee with your 410, you have to do filings on certain dates, and I'm gonna show you the calendar through what's known as a Form 460. That's gonna show all of your contributions and all of your expenses during that period of time. If you have, a committee and you do, during certain times within the 90 days, there's certain amounts that you get. You have to do in a donation or an expenditure, you have to do a Form 496 or a Form 497. The good news is other than your 410, your original form that you fill out, everything else is gonna be done electronically. Because once we get your campaign name and account, number that you have been approved, we're gonna load you into NetFile. NetFile is the system that we use for electronic filing throughout the county. You will get a notice that says, hey, welcome to NetFile. Here's your login. Here's your temporary password. Here's how you do it. And then every other filing from that point on for your committee will be done electronically, and it pre-populates stuff for you. It's really, really great. But what happens if you think, I'm not going to spend $2,000. I'm not going to raise more than $2,000. I'm just going to go do this. You know, I might spend a little bit, but not a lot. We're going to have you file a Form 470. That's the cover yourself type of thing. That's just saying, I'm not going over that, you know, up to this point, I'm not at 2,000 for either raising or spending, but I know I have to turn something in at certain times. We make you do it at the time you're filing your declaration, so we hold it for you. And when we get to the date that they're due, if you haven't filed a committee doing your 410 and then your 460s, then the 470 is there, and we don't have to track you down to have you sign it. So we do it as a cover your butt type of thing. And it also helps us because, you know, you're in campaign mode at the time that they're due, and we just don't want to come break your stride. In the candidate handbook, which I brought some, it's also available online. There's a bunch of sections in there about elections codes that have to do with mailers, lawn yard signs, online postings, photos, all sorts of things. Read that section. Know what you can and can't do, because you don't want to be in violation of something. And so we give them all to you so you know it. Also in the candidate handbook, there are 2 really good pages. One of them is about campaign finance prohibitions. And even the better one is mistakes other people have made. Learn, you know, we all learn from our own mistakes, but we also can learn from other people's mistakes. So things that they have spent money on, or signs that they have used, or I've got it in a bigger one. You don't want to read it that small. I have the handbooks, really. And, you know, it gives them what has happened and why it was in violation, and it gives you the code that can't as to why. Those are 2 really good pages to know. And this is the filing schedule for the November 5th election. So if you've already created a campaign committee, some people already have, you have a semi-annual coming up that's due by July 31st for the period ending on June 30th. There is a first pre-election that's due on September 26th. It's either with a 460 if you have a campaign committee, or that 470 that we made you fill out at the beginning. October 24th is the second pre-election. It's with the 460. It's only for the people who now have campaign committees. Once you filed your 470, if you haven't gone over that 2,000 mark, you don't have to do another filing. And then there's a third pre-election. Watsonville requires it, and that's due on November 1st, and that's with another 460. And then we go back down into January to do the second semi-annual. So these are the dates that you have to do some filing. Depending on where you are, whether you have a campaign committee or not, it tells you what you know, which forms you have to do on which dates.
So am I to understand that Watsonville added that third one, but not all municipalities have it?
That is correct. The county got rid of it, except for certain offices.
It's a little cap. But
Yeah, Scotts Valley doesn't have it.
we have it for-
Scotts Valley doesn't have it.
I don't need any more reasons.
All of these deadlines that I just showed you, you need to adhere to those deadlines. Do not be late. If you are late, you are fined. The FPPC is very strict on when things need to be turned in, and they will fine you. They also put you on a naughty list. Well, first they send you to detention, and then they put you on a naughty list. So make sure your treasurer has that calendar tattooed on their forehead or something, so they know exactly what dates there are, so you are not late and not fined by the FPPC. Okay, now that's the end of my doom and gloom section. Any questions?
I just wanna also let the group know that, this is a candidate workshop. When you do commit to file paperwork, we're gonna meet with you for approximately 2 hours. We're gonna go over a lot of this information, and we're gonna walk out with a little bit more knowledge. So it's a Q&A portion, so typically we do 2 hours. So just- yeah, which is why I recommend,
He holds your hand and that's.
Boy, if I have a candidate in front of me for more than 15 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh.
he's experienced that.
Yeah.
I had this one guy last night, he goes, should I like put aside like an entire day for this? And I'm like, no. Put aside an hour at the most. Because you're gonna send me everything ahead of time. Oh, now I wanna come run for office here. So I can spend 2 hours. That'd be fun. All right,
Well, if you work. How long do you have to live before you come?
30 days.
Pretty
much for 30 days prior.
Your voter or?
You have to be registered for 30 days prior to the nomination.
That'd be, June 15th.
is it the nomination period or the end of filing? The day you file?
It's like a Jeopardy moment.
The only reason I say that, because I don't know. I know for us, for certain offices, it's 30 days from, prior to, we only look at the 30 days prior to the date you're coming into file.
On the laptop, but I'll find that answer.
Yes, we know. It's good. Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
But you can run for Congress and not even live in your district.
That's interesting.
Yeah, throw that out there.
You just drop that.
I can't, but that's the law.
That's.
That's the law.
Well, because you can't live in every district.
It's not my, I'm like, this is what I say to people all the time. My code book is like this big and it's got like 4-point font. And I disagree, it's not my job to agree or disagree with it. It's that I just uphold what the code book says.
I did bring my charter with me. It reads, a person shall be eligible to be nominated for or appointed to the office of council member only if 30 days preceding the opening date of the filing of the nomination papers or the appointment of to fill a vacancy. This person is a resident.
So June 15th
The city and district.
means I'm out of luck. Out of luck, I am. All right, what to expect during the election? I bring this slide up to talk about voter registration because as candidates, I get asked this question all the time. The deadline to register to vote for the November election, for that voter to receive their ballot and their voting information in the mail is October 21st. People can register to vote online or they can register through the paper cards. Candidates can check out paper cards to do voter registration drives. It's totally fine. You do that through me. Okay, I'm the keeper of the cards. So if you want to do that, you come to me, I'll sign you out cards, I'll go over how you fill out a card, what, things to look for, and then you can go out while you're campaigning and you can hand out voter registration cards if you want. However, if somebody misses the October 21st deadline, it's not a problem. California has same-day registration. So after October 21st, voters can come in and register, but they must do it in person and they must vote at the time that they're registering. We put it in an envelope, we complete their registration, and if we find that their registration is good and they haven't voted elsewhere in the state, then we will go ahead and process that envelope and that ballot through. So just because somebody misses October 21st doesn't mean that they're out of luck to vote in California or in Watsonville for the election. We also could have some write-in candidates. Write-in candidates have to go through the same process in order to declare their candidacy. They have to get nomination signatures to run for city council. They have to live in the district. They have to meet all the other requirements. However, they have to do their filing period between September 9 and October 22nd. You're looking at it going, remembering back on slide number 3, I've already sent out ballots. I've already opened in-person voting. That's right. A write-in candidate's name does not appear on the ballot. It also does not appear in the voter guide. On October 22nd, after 5 p.m., I take all of the qualified write-in candidates for any contest that is appearing on the ballot across the county, and I put qualified candidates on my website, and I send out notices to all of the voting locations where it's posted. People can write in whomever they want. I will not count or attribute votes to any candidate unless they've gone through the write-in process.
So then you still can run.
Mhm.
As a thing.
If you miss,
You could run as a right.
yeah, if you miss, no. And you know, and it is not Hillsborough. However, just down the road, in a city starting with a C, there was a person who ran as a write-in candidate and lost a seat on city council by 8 votes. It can be done, but it's a whole lot easier if you actually go through the real process to get your name on the ballot. Okay? Election night, November 5th, the polls will close at 8 p.m. Somewhere around 8:15, I will release the first update of numbers. Why the difference of 15 minutes? It's because there's usually people still voting in booths at 8 o'clock because they entered in and went through the process before the polls closed. I want them to finish voting or at least get fairly through before I start releasing results. I just don't think it's nice. And so it's usually about 8:15, 8:20. And then what that number is, that first one that I do, is all of the vote by mails that have been returned to our office and processed, which means they've gone through signature verification, they've been opened, they've been flattened, they've been looked for rips and tears to make sure that they can read correctly. All of the ones we received through the Sunday prior to Election Day, maybe some other ones, and all of the in-person voting that occurred prior to November 5th. That's your first thing. Then about every hour and a half to 2 hours, I make an update. And those updates will be some more vote by mails, because we continue to process Monday. We process all day on Election Day. It will be in-person votes that have come in from our voting centers. And I will continue to do that until about midnight 30-ish, 12:30. That's when I have all of my all of my in-person ones usually in and through. And then I put on my website, I'm done for the night. But I am only done for the night. I still have a lot more to count and process and add to the totals. Because history has shown that more people will return their voted vote by mail ballots on election day than the total of the ones I got 29 days, in the whole 29 days before. And history shows that they do that between 7 and 8 p.m. So there will still be a lot of ballots for me to add to the tallies as we go through the process after election day. And I know it is pure hell for candidates because they want the next, are we done? And I get the phone call and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I still have X more to do. And usually on Wednesday, the day after election, well, for me, it's the same day, right? Because we pretty much go all the way and on. It's like, well, are you gonna do an update? My answer is no. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking over. You guys have asked me.
I just looked at your times. The next update, I didn't bother.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, we do not do a vote total update. Because on Wednesday, we're actually retooling ourselves from election day to canvas. That's when we're going and picking up all of our supplies. We're doing, and we're using our toothpicks to stay awake. Thursday is when the magic really starts again. With the official canvas, and I'm going to do an update on Thursday. I have not done an update on Thursday since it pre-Gale.
Yeah.
It's usually Friday. I'm gonna do an update on Thursday. We'll see how significant it is. But I start usually then, I'll do some Thursday, I'll do Friday. We will work Saturday and Sunday, but I will not do another update until the following week on Monday. And I will just keep putting in ballots and I will keep kind of saying how many more we have to go. I don't really break it down to say I have 1,000 here and 2,000 here and 12 here. I say across the county, we have 46,000, across the county, we have 35,000, etc. So, and I have 28 days to certify the election. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I take 28 days to certify the election. Back when I taught school, I had this young man that all he wanted to do was beat me on a multiplication test. And, when we would go, it was a time test and he would just write down numbers. See, I finished before you. And I said, I'm not looking for quantity, I'm looking for quality. I would rather see you get 5 right in a 90-second test than see you get all of them wrong. That's the way I view the canvas. The canvas is when we reconcile everything. We look at everything. We go back and practically run the election again. How many people were registered? How many ballots went out? How many came back? How many came back for each precinct? How many were tabulated? How many are this? We manually tally. We escalate the manual tally. We're doing the same day registration. We're doing all of that during that 28 days, and we don't want to rush because we want every eligible vote to be counted. And if we rush, we might miss one. And everything that we do, actually everything we do now, but during this canvas time, I encourage you to come watch us, come walk through, ask questions, and see what we are doing. Because I know it's, as a candidate, I know it's hard to sit there and wait for the next thing, but when you watch it and kind of see it, you understand what we're doing in the process to make sure that our numbers match and that our numbers are accurate.
Will there be canvassing happening at the new building? No, so you don't have.
The reason I'm not doing that is because I'd have to split my ballots and move them to different locations. And since we're the official county tabulation place, I won't move them.
Okay.
Too much worrisome for me. All right. Candidate resources. The voter file is confidential, but as candidates, you are eligible to receive voter file or voter data. We do have to charge you, however. So they're also known as like walking lists. You can get the list with data on the past 5 elections, how that voter votes, or if they vote. We can sell data and give data on vote by mail. You know, everybody, like I said, all active registered voters get a vote by mail ballot. You can get those to see who has actually returned their vote by mail ballot, so you don't have to get out the vote to talk to them. That data is through us. So, you can contact our office, you can phone us, you can come in, you can send us an email. My voter data person is Gina Lavioli. I will connect you with her. So you can tell her what you're looking for, and she can tell you what she can give you and what it's gonna cost and what it's gonna look like. This is our candidate handbook. We do have some here available if you would like to take it. In there, it has a checklist. It has all of those codes that I told you about. It goes over the forms. It gives you the cost of the candidate statement, even though you guys took it down. All within there. Also, our phone numbers are there. Here's the information on the FPPC. They're the people you want to talk to when you have questions on what's going on those forms, right? Your 700 form, you know, things like that. What do I disclose, what not? They have some online things that you can go through and look at. They're really great workshops that will tell you things. You can contact them by sending them an email, or you can phone them. I recommend you phone them, but they're only available in the morning, so keep that in mind. My office and Erwin's office, we are not enforcement agencies or investigative agencies. So if you call us up and say, someone's stealing my signs, we're gonna say, we're really sorry that they're stealing your signs, but you need to talk to the city attorney, or you need to talk to the city police, right? We can't do anything. So if you feel that there's an election violation of registration, you contact the district attorney for the county or the Secretary of State. If you feel that there's been some violations of the Political Reform Act or those FPPC documents, you see somebody doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, you call the FPPC. Vandalism, signs, the city attorney, the district attorney, or law enforcement. Okay. If you contact us, we're just gonna give you the information of who you should be contacting. I also listed for you in the slides our state and federal partners. Federal, we don't do so much since you're not running for a congressional office, but it gives, you know, who we partner with, just so you know, and what we partner with them to do. There's my number. Stanley is my candidate services manager, and Erwin's on there. Rita's my assistant county clerk. You can, you know, Erwin's going to be your point of contact, but if you have other questions, you can go ahead and give us a call and we can answer some of the other ones. And you have all that. And Bob's your uncle. We're done.
Thank you.
Questions? Cool.
I do want to thank you all for coming. We do still have some additional candidate handbooks here. If anyone's interested in taking one, we have them right here. I also have my business cards if you'd like to take one. You have mine. Yeah.
In theory, I have some too. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It's my new one.
I'll take one of those anyway.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Did you not?
Nobody can text all those questions, wasn't
Thank you.